Cool, here we
Hello,
go.
hello, and welcome, everybody. I am so excited about my guest today, Rainer Oleak, also known as Ole. And before I give you some of his background, I just want to say hello, Ole from Germany, Berlin, Germany.
Hello to US from old Germany in the middle of Berlin.
Yeah.
Thank you for the invitation. Yeah.
Oh, you're so welcome. And I cannot be happier because today we are really getting the backstory of how we met. And one of my chapters also mentioned something that has something to do with you. And you were so kind to write an endorsement for me as well. So I can't wait for our conversation. But before we get started, I wanted to let our listeners know who you are. So your background is electrical engineering. You went to the university and then you studied composition. You are a pianist, but you also are a producer. From what I know, you composed and produced music for hundreds of films and TV productions. Various sources mention that several hundred, up to 1,500 soundtrack credits, including cinema films, TV series, and documentaries. So you have been an accomplished composer and producer. And right now, I see you are in your studio, right?
Exactly. This is my game place. This is my playground where I'm working and I compose and I have my creativity housed. Yeah. I started over because I always want to be a musician, but my parents insisted that I better go to some real work. So I studied electronics, so it helps out for all this, of course, musical stuff. And when I finished my studies, early age, 20 or 22, I flipped over and started composition and learned on the university piano and composition and started my career as a composer long years ago. Now I'm about 45 years in the business. And I have a lot of luck because I met the right people. I have a good network. This is really important to have a network. And then I started, and I was always keen about to work in the media, to work as a film composer, because the stylistic variety is so much greater than to be in a band. When you play in a band, you have your 5 musicians, 2 guitars, a bass player, a drummer, and that's it, what you can work with. When you are in a film music, you can always change the style. You can work with orchestras, you can work with strings, with brasses, whatever, all the palette of different sounds you can use. And this is what I really love, to jump from project to project.
But you know what you said earlier is, I think a lot of people can relate to it. Is that, parents say, hey, find a good job or a secure job. Don't do that artistic stuff. I mean, it was the same for me. I didn't start out as an actress. I started out as a claim adjuster working for an insurance because that's what my parents said. But I believe we all have at one point in our life, we can make the decision to do what we want to do and use the talent that we have. And you definitely had talent. So let's.
I have a thinking about it. That's what I always teach my son and my practicants and my students I work with. I always said, listen, you can learn as a normal employer or as a musician, and you can be poor as an employer, you can poor to be as a musician. But the thing is, if you are poor, then it's better to be poor with something you like.
I like that so much.
And this is, of course, the thing. Because if I would go to this stuff, my father, my parents insist, I would be workless. Because When the wall came down, I come from East Germany. When the wall came down, then and all these companies and so disappear, and you have to slip over. You have to learn something new. You have to adapt, and this was really a tough situation. And I have this luck as a musician to go through it. And so even today, more than ever, you can't promise a young kid something what is worth about 40 years. The time is changing so fast and so much that I even doesn't know what has happened in 5 years. So what shall I say to young people to go this and you are safe, go in the bank or whatever, and you are spending your time, your youth and all this time where you learn, spending in some profession where you don't end up. And this is so always, of course, it's a kind of a luxury to work with what you like. Yeah, not most of the people don't have this
I
luxury.
I wouldn't say that this is a luxury because no, because when you do, because you have the decision and say, this is what I want to do. And then you go for it. And here's the thing, Ole, what you said is so true. When you do what you love, use your talent, and you work for it. It's not just like, okay, no, you have to work for it. You went to university and studied, I studied acting and then you continue working and then the money will follow one way or another. And so I don't think it's luxury. I think it has something to do with your personality, what you want to do, and where you end up. But I wanted to go back and talk about how we met. And I want to go into one chapter in my book, Gumption, that's going to be released on August 4th. And in the last chapter, I talked about the invisible stage. And I share a story from my career where I learned what it takes to succeed. And I know I was in my career, I was just starting and I got successful and I wanted to play that role in a musical called Les Misérables, Madame Thénardier, which was it was a mean character, but it was also a challenging character. So I knew I need to find the right song, and I did. But here's the thing, that song was just a little tap too high for me to belt it. So I needed to get something transposed. And that is when our paths crossed. Because you mentioned earlier, you were from East Berlin. Back then, that was in 88, 87, 88.
1.5 years before the wall breaks down, yes?
That's right. You were able to travel because you were in a music studio, you produced something there, and that's where we met. Do you recall in just short, not long, how we met? I don't 100% recall it, but that was our first meeting.
I can remember on it. I was working with a pop musician in Hamburg, in a studio near Poppenbüttel. It's a small area of Hamburg. There was a private studio, and I was there, I think, for a couple of months, or a long time, because we have done a whole CD, and it takes time. So I going forth and back from Berlin to Hamburg, and we produced there. And then I remember that the studio owner, he gave me a call, and he comes down and say, listen, there is a girl who wants to record 2 songs for an audition for a musical thing, yeah? And you are a piano player. Can you make some kind of playback for her? And can maybe you make the accompanying is the right word?
Yeah.
And so I said, yes, of course I can, because I'm here and I have my free time. So then you come over with the scores, and then we try it. I rehearsed it because it was not so easy. I rehearsed it, and then that we transposed it, I can't really remember on it. I only can remember that we make a record, make a from it, so that we can send it over to the theater.
Right.
And then they invited you, and then you go over and make the audition, and at least you got the job. Yeah.
Yes.
This was, and I can remember that I was visiting you really, really often. So I think I watched this show about 15 times or 50 times, something like this, and I loved it. It was such
Yeah,
a really a great opportunity to go to Vienna and see all these. We saw Cat there as well and the other
right.
theaters,
Yes,
and
yes,
I
yes.
have a lot of really good memories on it.
Yeah. And but what I cherish most, that even once we kind of drifted apart, and you went your way, I went my way, that we stayed in touch over the years and kept
Yes,
visiting each other.
yes.
I moved to America,
America.
obviously. Hmm. And so this is such a great, and we did so many more things, and I want to talk about that too. But to finish out that story that you shared, and thanks for reminding me, because I said, I know we met there. How was it? Yes, at that time I was working with that artist who had that studio. I was doing something else, and that's how we connected, and then we became very good friends.
Yes.
And yeah, so yes, you did. And I can tell you, I still have the original score, because it was a score, because it was a musical from Into the Woods,
Yes.
Stay With Me. But then I struggled, and you composed it. You transposed it, not composed, excuse me.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Yeah, yeah.
transposed it a key lower, and that was handwritten. And I don't know if I
Oh,
ever
yeah.
told you, that story, but yes, you recorded it, and I practiced on the tape again and again and again. So when I went to the audition, usually what it is, there is a accompanist there, and you give them the sheet music. So I went in, I took the tape recorder with me. Yes, back then we still had tape recorders. and
A
the sheet
boombox.
music. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah,
A
and the sheet
boombox, you
music,
call it.
handwritten,
Yes. Yes.
from you. So I showed it to the
The
pianist and
piano
said,
player. Mm.
yeah, the piano player said, here's the sheet music. But I also brought a tape recording. So if you want me, I can use this. So you looked at it, and you said it too. It was very, very challenging to play. And then it was handwritten, transposed. You looked at it and said, why don't you use the tape recorder? But that was my in,
Slipping
because
to
I
the
knew it
safe
to inside
side.
and out.
Yeah. He slips to the safe side. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly,
And
exactly.
of course, I have to expose that maybe my handwritten score was not so readable for people. Yeah, maybe it was a little bit sluggy.
Yeah.
So, and
But
he don't
that's
want to
how our
destroy your singing.
so,
Maybe.
but this is how our journey began, and
Mm,
then I still remember we were dating at that time. So
mm,
everything, ended up, we became good friends, and then we dated.
mm,
And then you visited me in Vienna a couple of times,
mm.
but you still,
Yes.
the wall was still up. The
Yes.
wall was still there. And and I remember, I went sometimes when I was in Berlin, I visited you, but I had to get out of the
Mm.
East Zone before midnight, before, the
Nobody
pumpkin
can
turns.
imagine this. Nobody can imagine the problems we have at this time. Nobody. And
No.
even you can't explain it to somebody because it's so weird. So it's
Yeah.
history.
Yeah. It's history. But here's another good thing. We saw history in the making. I still
Yes.
remember, Ole, I drove to the theater in my car. And back in those days, there were still the newspaper boys, right?
Yes.
So I stood at the red light, and then the newspaper boy said, the wall fell, the wall fell. I said, what the heck? The wall fell? What? So I went to the theater, and I said, I need to go. I need to go. I need to go. I need to go to Berlin to see what's happening. I need to visit my boyfriend and see what's happening. And they let me go. And so I don't know if you remembered, but I remembered it like it was yesterday. So I flew in to the airport, and then I visited you, and And I didn't have, usually get a piece of paper that you enter and then you have to go back.
Yes,
But
yes,
it was
yes, yes.
such a chaos. And I stayed overnight. We didn't go out. And then the next day we drove over. Do you remember that time?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It was unbelievable, unbelievable moments for all the people when we go over and passing the border, 40 years closed for everybody, and we can breathe the atmosphere and the happiness, and all the people freaking out and were really, really open and have a lot of joy, and this feeling was
Mm.
uncomparable,
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
It
it
was really
was.
a nice area. And I remember that I come over with my son to Vienna, because then
Yes.
when the wall was open, we have the opportunity to take somebody else. And so I take my son, he was 12 years old, and I take him in the airplane, and he has no passport. And I say, oh, what? I want to get him over, and I talk to the stewardess. And one moment she says, get him in. And this is impossible today.
Oh, yeah.
Impossible. He has not a passport. And I say, I'm his father. Believe me, I'm his father. I don't want
Yeah.
to take him out of the country. I only want to take him over to Vienna. And
Yeah.
so the stewardess makes a decision. Okay, let him in. And this was really, I never will forget this moment. Today, if you try to fly, even you have another letter in your name, you can't fly. Yeah,
I know.
something goes wrong, and because the security and safety things go so up. And this was such a open, friendly time that everybody
Yeah.
thinks now we are in peace and freedom, and we have all these old forces goes down, and all these borders and walls and everything goes down. So the whole 90s were such an open atmosphere and such an open time, full of hope, full of awareness, full of vision and all this stuff. And this was really a great time. I thinking back, I just talked to my friends that when we compare all this 10 decades in the last 15 years, 50 years,
Hmm.
we always say every decade has its vision and has its different outcome.
Yeah.
And if I look back in the last 10 years, the thing goes worse. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you know me. I'm
Mm.
always a positive person, and
Yes.
I always look for the silver lining. And
Mm.
here's another thing. I always know what the power that we have is in how
Mm.
we respond to everything and what we do and what we contribute. And that's also another reason
Mhm,
um,
mhm,
why I wanted to write this book. And this is
mhm,
obviously my memoir, with all the things that I've experienced, but also the wisdom that
mhm.
I've gained from it, and some of the invitations that I give out. Was there one thing I
Sorry,
know?
I want to go in. Your life is a special life because you have such big movements in your life. You go from a small town over to make a living from show and from things you love, and then you move over to America, building up a new life, and this is exceptional. It's exceptional how you move your whole life. So I think it's for all the people that read the book really interesting to follow you and follow your experience, because you see so different worlds and so different opportunities, and you're never stuck. You have the highlights, you have the dark lights, you have all these situations where you have to survive, you have to fight, you go through really, really nice and peaceful, happy situations, and all this stuff. I'm totally different. I have my playground, and I stuck in my playground because I'm a more introverted person. I'm a musician. Most of the musicians are introverted, except they are on stage. So, and this is a totally different thing. So though I want to point it out only shortly.
Oh, thank you so much. Yes, and the thing is, there are always people in your life that
Mm.
help you. What you mentioned earlier, luck, I think it has something to do with what we attract into our lives, the
Mm.
right people, because
Mm.
everything
Mhm.
has to do with energy. And yeah,
Mm.
however you interpret luck, I know that everybody can make their own luck. And
Yeah,
you,
it's different. It's more complicated. Of course, we are always fishing. I
yeah,
I have a saying: in a certain age, you are in charge for your face.
yeah,
The person you are, they are built up with things you have done. So the character and everything leads to the situation you are in. So of course, it's a saying. It's sometimes it sounds a little bit ignorant, but a lot of people don't have the possibility to find her own way, but always fishing for it. I don't want to say fighting for it. Fishing for it
I
is
like that.
saying what everybody can do for moments. Don't give up, and all this
Hmm.
really a really hard saying because it's only a saying. You have to live it, and sometimes it's hard to live it. So I always shrink it down to the word. I have a lot of luck in my life. Yes, you know.
Hmm. Yeah,
That's
and it's
that. But
your
luck you can a little
interpretation of
bit
it.
force. You have to try to force your luck.
Yes, yes, yes. That's a good way to say
Yeah,
it. And of
yeah.
course, if we take a look at the whole world, I mean, we are living in a very privileged part of the world. There are
That's true.
much sadder situations there. Um, and, it's not an easy, like, one thing or one phrase or one word includes everything. No, it's not.
Mm.
Life is complicated. But at the same
And you
time,
need a lot of passion, and so you have to have the space and the freedom for passion. Yeah.
yeah. And
Mm.
at the same time, sometimes you see people are born in the same
Mm.
family, the same circumstances, sometimes
Mm.
even twins. One end up
Yeah.
doing what they love, successful, whatever,
Yeah.
the other ends up like on the bottom, right?
Mm.
Drug
Mm.
abuse or
Mm.
whatever it is, right? So it still has something to do with the personality and with the person of itself. But I believe that we all have that divine spark, that inner
Yes.
knowing, but we have to discover it, and we have to be willing and wanting to discover it. You cannot force anything, and that's the freedom that we have at the end. I
Mm.
have to share this with you, Ole. I do a lot of podcast interviews now leading up to my book, and I did this one interview. It was a podcast host from uh, Africa, from Nigeria. And so we were finished with the interview, and I'm always curious. I think that being curious is so worth your while. So I asked him, said, "So where you from?" And he said, "Oh, sir, I was in Senegal. I visited Senegal for a while, Africa, which I also share in my book." And then I asked him, "So why did you start the podcast?" Oh no, I asked him, "Can I give you some feedback?" Because I wanted to help him. It seems like he always did the same thing. So I just want to have, are you open for feedback? And he said, "Oh, yeah, absolutely." So I shared it with him. And then I asked him, "Why did you start the podcast?" And then he opened up. And then he became so lively in speaking, which he wasn't when he was asking the question. It was very robotic.
It was a
And
little bit shy. Mm.
yeah. So, and then he opened up and he said, "Yeah, I'm a student." And I started the podcast I never got out of my little town. And I started the podcast to interview other people, to learn through their lens, to
To
find
reach
out
out.
where
Mm.
to
Mm.
reach out. And that is
Mm.
what I'm talking about. Even if you are in the
Mm.
smallest region and country, you always have a chance with the technology that we have to do something. And
Yeah.
so that was a lovely conversation.
Mm.
And he was so grateful. He was thanking me for taking the
Mm.
time. He said, "You are the only one who took the time to say something to me afterwards. And those are the moments I cherish the most. That was totally unplanned.
Great.
And it was just right. Just kind of that intuitive feeling that I had.
Yeah. Yeah, this is great. This is great. That's the reason why I try to always to be in contact with younger people. I have the practicants. I have some kids, 14 years old. They come over to learn a little bit, and I always get something from them. Some of my colleagues always ask me, "Why you do this? This is boring. They are only standing in your way, and you have to pamper them and you have to do something with them and it's really annoying and all this stuff." And I always say, listen, that is only not the one-way street. I always get a lot of stuff back from them because they are living today and they have the kind of view on the world I haven't. And I ask them and I look through their eyes and I try to keep, even in music, you have to keep modern. You have to keep, it's a German word, I don't know, is it in English, Zeitgeist? I think it's the same word in
I think it's
America.
Zeitgeist, yeah.
Zeitgeist, yeah. It's a German word, but the Americans understand this. And this is what you have to look for. Otherwise, you are slip out from the community because everything is changing. We're living always in change. And when you are not changed with the community, you're getting out slowly. And this is the reason why I always try to keep contact to younger people, to listen and to take their view. And this helps me a lot. It helps me a lot to understand things, to keep keen, because there is really so much talent in the world, even of the younger people. If I look to YouTube and I see so much talented musicians, really young, and they are brilliant, and there's brilliant music out. And of course, a lot of people in my age say the music ends when Joe Cocker make his last CD, 88 or something like this, or 94, then the music stops. Yeah, and this is, of course, bullshit.
No. Well, that brings me to a point right now, you see, with AI. I mean, people are pumping out music left and right through AI. Suno is a platform that's being used a lot. And I hear, look, this is a song I just created. And then I'm thinking back, oh my gosh, I'm also a singer-songwriter. Obviously, I only have a few that kind of go along with what I do. But those are the songs, the music that came from experience, and I wanted to share a story through my music.
Yeah,
And
but
now,
AI is as well experience, but it's experience from all of them. What the computers take. I have two phases about it. The first phase is, of course, it cuts a lot of opportunities for musicians. It's really a tough thing. It's the musicians are in a really bad place. But I say we have now 100 years mechanical rights, 100 years around. So the musicians are a little bit out of where all the builders, the painters, and all the other artists were in the 17th century. So the musicians have really a luxury situation for 100 years now. This time is over. Now we fall back like all the painters, the builders, and all these sculpture makers and all the artists, like the same they live in the 17th century. Always the wife makes the money and the man painting and doesn't get any money. So that's where we are back now as musicians. I have the luckily to live in this 100 years of mechanical rights. So, and this is the one side. This is the one side, and this was the exception, not the normal. It was the exception. Now we are back to normal. So, but on the other side, a lot of my colleagues say, why do you practicing piano? Why do you try to build up your skills? And so, because the only answer, I'm enjoying it. And when I go to Suno, I have no joy because I get something delivered. It's like all the thing is, it's like a product. So, and of course, all the companies try to sell sell us products. They don't sell us joy. They don't sell us creativity. They don't sell us anything except products. And
Yeah.
so they try to match the product with the creativity and your joy. Why there are so many people cooking? Why are so many people making photographs? Because they are not professional photographers. And why are so many people learning an instrument? Because it's a lot of joy. And when I go to Suno, I'm sitting here prompting, then I get something else what astonish, but where's the joy?
Yeah.
I can listen to
Yeah.
it, but then if I can listen to my Zuno stuff, I would prefer to listen to Taylor Swift
Yeah.
because I have nothing from it. It's not my joy. It's a product. They sell me a product. I am not enjoying it. It's like making sport without movement.
I like that take on it. Thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing. That makes me feel better too, because yeah,
Yeah,
it's very, very
but
true.
nobody, even my colleagues don't point it out, and they have forgotten. I always say to people, I don't make any money anymore with music, and nobody cares about it. Nobody listen to it. And I say, listen back. When you start, you play an instrument. You was maybe 10, you was 7, you was 12, whatever. Did you think about the practical reason to play an instrument? Did you think about the product? Did you think you're sitting in front of 1,000 people and play the guitar and everybody enjoying it and asking for more? Did you think it when you was 12 or when you was 13? No, you're starting play your first Christmas song on a guitar or your first Bruce Springsteen song on a guitar, and you are lucky and you are happy because you got it and you figure it out how it works and you figure out it. Then you go on. Yeah, then you make the next song a little bit more complicated, even more complicated. It's like dancing. Dancing
Yeah.
isn't, you don't end up in a big ballet. You don't end up
Yeah.
in a big dance company or whatever. You
Yeah.
dancing because you have a lot of joy. So many
Yeah.
people go bowling and they are not world stars in bowling, but
Right.
they enjoy
They
it.
have joy.
And
And
this
I'm
is,
glad that you
yeah,
pointed that
this is
out.
what it comes back to. Of course, it's getting less and less a profession. It's getting
Yeah.
less and less to make money with what you doing. But what I figure out, the talent and the creativity are even more up than down. If you, I listen to the young people and listen to so many skills in the musicians, so heavy, like in sports in the 80s, when you have this high level of skills. Now all the musicians have this high. I don't want to name all these guys; they are endless. When I look in YouTube, I see so many really high skills young musicians. It's
Mm-hmm.
astonished, and I'm really happy about it. Of course, maybe they don't make a living from it. They don't, but they are
But
talented and have a
they
lot of
have
joy.
the joy. They have a lot of joy.
That's
And
and this is
just
what
that
I
brings
try
me
to point
that,
out every time when this discussion starts. I try to
yeah.
out it every
And
time because nobody talks about it.
right. I'm glad
Nobody.
that
They're
you
always
did.
talking
I'm
about,
glad that you
I
did.
don't make any money, so they take over. Even my friends, why you make so much effort to, I have so many instruments. I like to play bad guitars.
Can I
I
ask you a
like it.
question?
Yes.
Yeah. So, talking about your instruments, what we see here in the background is your studio called the Tonscheune,
Yes.
which is the sound barn. And
Soundbarn, yeah. Mm.
I've been there many a times,
Yeah.
and you have instruments all over, all
Yeah.
kinds of guitars, and I mean,
I'm a
you
nerd.
you you name it. Yes, you name it. It's beautiful. So, and I also want to point something out, talking about joy. I remember when I still lived in Germany, and Michael and I, my now husband, we, like I said, it's just beautiful. We were such good friends. And um, Michael and I, we wrote a musical. And we did it out of joy, not necessarily knowing or thinking, oh, it's going to be the big production and we make all this money. But it was a passion project. And well,
Mm.
actually, it was so interesting because talking about skills and learning. So we just had the idea. And then I said, oh, I know someone who could write the music. And then there was Michi at that time who was writing the lyrics. And I said, oh, I need to find someone who writes the score. But then I ended up writing the score. I had no idea. I've never wrote, not the score, excuse me, the script. I never wrote the script before. I bought my first Atari computer so I could have it in there. So I just started writing, and it wasn't perfect, but it was joyful. And then the lyricist backed up, and then I had to start writing the lyrics. That's how I started writing lyrics. And then we went to your studio. Back then, it was your very first one, very small one in East Berlin.
And a two-room flat. It was a two-room flat. Yeah. And if you want to stay, you have two options: sleeping underneath the desk or sleeping underneath the piano.
Exactly. So it was so much joy, and you were there. And again, you did this because it was just a project, and who knows where it led. It could have been successful, but it didn't. But I still have that, by the way. And now I want to point something out. What you said too about the joy. When I started writing music myself, and then people said, oh, you have to create a CD. I said, okay. So back then I did it in Nashville. So I rented a studio. The times were so different. I rented a studio, and with a musician in Nashville, I sent them my demo tape where I sang and just played the guitar, just very simple. And then I came and they listened to it. The musicians are incredible. They
played immediately.
Yeah. I mean, the producer at the studio, they gave them the charts, okay, the numbers, what they can all know. So he prepared, but then they listened what I wanted to do and the style. And then I played it one time, and I was like out of my mind. And then I sang it. It was just a scratch at that time. But the next day I came in and sang the whole thing for one day, all 9 songs. Then 2 days later, I came to the studio, and now I'm coming to my point. When I listened to the mix from the sound guy there, that feeling of joy that was overflooding my whole body, I could physically feel it. I never forget that moment.
And I tell you, try to recreate it with Suno.
No, it's impossible. And
this is impossible.
Now, I just, because I know we had this conversation, I had to pull this out. I still have that CD.
Yes.
It's still in the banner. But here is one thing. The one song that we created together for the musical, Johanna was the working title. And there was this one song that the angel Johanna sang. And I liked the music so much. Then I took the liberty to change the lyric totally away from the musical. But I did it for my church service, and I called it Angel Take Wing. And this is what ended up on my CD. And now publicly, I wanted to say, back then, and now we had the discussion, you said, use whatever you want to use, because with all the rights, and when I did this was a one-woman production. I had to have my own, I had no idea what to do, how to, and I did the most minimum. And if I would have listed you, I had to go through whole other stuff. And you just said, no, just claim it
International
yourself.
affairs.
That's right. But let me tell you, publicly, that melody was not by me. That melody came from Ole, from Rainer Oleak. And so now you know the whole shaboom and all the background and everything.
Great. Yeah, a lot of stuff. But I always have this kind of thinking, you can't catch all the stuff, because for me it's always a learning curve. Doing something, working with other people, and so I I bring up my skills and I'm
Yeah.
learning stuff and I have an input and it's a creative process. And of course, I think the truth is 80 until 90% of my work is without any income.
Yeah.
Only 10% of my work makes my living. And this is, of course, everything is a learning curve. You have to fishing, you have to put it like fishing. You put it in the water and you wait, nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened, nothing happened, and then you catch something. So,
Yeah.
but if you don't go out and put something in the water, nothing happened. So
That's right.
I'm always open to work with people, even for a glass of wine or whatever, to
Mhm.
be close to creativity.
And you, and I can say that you worked with me for a glass of wine. So
Yes.
I remember when we come. Oh, now I just remembered. One time, Mike and I came. It's I think it's like 15 years ago. That's when I started my creative writing, and I wrote one song that was just a cappella. It just was in my head, and I wrote the song with like two different melodies called Beautiful Thoughts. Um, and I wanted to have that two piece together. And I know, and your wife, Carmen, she is also a beautiful singer. So I thought, oh, it would be so fun to do it all. So Michael and Carmen and I, we sang the three-part harmony just without any instruments. We recorded it at your new studio that you had, the Tonscheune at that time, and then and I put it up on YouTube. And back then, is nothing that we have now. I put it together with like simple slideshows, right? But I still have it up there. So if anybody listened to it, you still can look it up. I think I had like 500 some views, not a lot, but it's one of
Put
the
it in the
most
description.
views. Huh?
Put it in the
Yeah,
description.
I will. But so that was this moment. And then, okay, now we are coming to the last time I visited you. We visited you. And I said to you, I have 3 songs that I never recorded, but they're dear to my heart because they tell a story. They tell a story of when I followed like Wayne Dyer. He's one time mentioned Always Face the Sun. And I created a song. And then there were 2 other songs that we recorded at your studio. And then you filmed it, and it was great. So one of the songs I put up already online, and that is the 2 wolves, the story of the 2 wolves, because I had it up before with like very bad pictures, so I upped it a little bit, but I still have to put on the other one. So Always Face the Sun. I know my book launch is coming up in 2 weeks. So now I have to do that because I know I
Yeah.
mentioned it several times. So,
Mm.
and you are on the piano, and
Yes.
so yes.
Mm.
So let's see. I will put it up, and you sent me the best footage that you still have. I think you still have something up there, but we can talk about that afterwards. I don't want to hold you to the fire.
I have to scan my hard drives.
Right. But
And I
these
have
are
a
the
lot.
beautiful memories
Yes.
that I have from the Tonscheune. But the best memory we cannot see because it is that little sunroom that is where or we call it the green room, where we had those long conversations and discussions. And those are, to be quite frankly, the most memorable things when you have that one-on-one conversation with a friend, with a person that you can share stories, you can share memories,
History.
those, yeah, and
Have you
history.
have and we are really a part of the political history as well,
Yeah.
because we both German, but we're living in different countries. Yeah.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
was really a tough time. And of course, I'm so old that I have it half in my life, and I have a lot of really, really close memories to all what happened, yeah, but on how much it changed, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And it's very hard for people to understand. And even for me, because, yeah,
Mm.
it was two different countries. It was East Germany and
Mm.
West Germany. And I lived in
Yes,
West Germany and I heard the stories. And of course, I know the history. I mean, this
yeah.
was taught in school, why
Mm.
and how and whatnot.
But it's
But
not a
not
part
until,
of the
r-
personal. Uh,
right,
mm.
the what you experience. And I never forget that one time I visited you and I got a visa that was like
Mm.
for vacation for 2 weeks, right? But in that time it was already close to, you could feel the changes coming.
Yeah,
But I remember there was that parade down that main street, and there was
yeah,
the chancellor. I thought
yeah.
Was it Hanukkah?
Right, it must be in October. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
Hanukkah. Mm.
that's right. That's right. And it was weird. It was so weird.
Yeah, it was
It's
weird.
so many things. Then when I looked to the stores, and I
Mm.
had to
Empty,
exchange,
empty
I
stores.
had to exchange West German money for
Yeah,
East German money.
and
I
nothing
could
to
not
buy.
exchange it back, so I had to
Yeah.
buy something.
Yeah. Only what you can buy is garbage.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's very hard for people to understand. And now, I mean, there are other parts of the world that still has that similar situation where
Yeah.
people, the money is nothing worth, and people cannot buy anything. So we we
And
we
even the
don't take
wars to
things
come
for
up.
granted. We don't take
Yes.
things for granted. But
No,
oh my
that's what the
gosh,
people learn. Mm.
yeah, so we are, well, I know when we are together, and that's why I said at the
Mm.
beginning, usually my Saturday lives are going like for 30 minutes or so, but let's just see where it takes us, right? So to
Okay.
finish up,
Mm.
where was there one thing maybe that I haven't asked you, or one thing that you would like to say about anything, about the book, about music, about
Mm.
anything? Was there something that
Anything. I have another 60 minutes.
let me put it this way. If you could leave people
Mm.
with one piece of advice or
Mm.
one golden nugget, something that you may wish you would have known earlier, or anything, what would that be?
We have so many advices in what we talked about that
Yeah.
there is not so easy to add something. And the only thing what I want to repeat is that if you have the opportunity to go for what you love, do it. But it sounds really cheesy because it's advice everybody gives, but it's a lot of truth into it. And so always you can repeat it. And if you say it 1,000 times to somebody, maybe one time he recognizes the truth. And the truth is that freedom, peace, and happiness is only found, or you only can find through things you love. And
Yeah.
there's no money, no um, nothing else
Yeah.
for my taste. And so it's a cheesy saying. I know exactly what I'm talking about, but there are so many
It's
small
true.
places where you have, even when you go out and eat some ice cream, can be a
Yeah.
lucky moment, or to take a ride on a bicycle, whatever.
Yeah.
This is what you have to fishing for, and you have to learn. I always say learn to love it,
Mhm.
to enjoy the moment. Yeah. This
Enjoy
is
the
of course
moment.
it's a
No,
cheesy saying, but it's true.
but it's true. It's really true. Enjoy the
Yeah.
moment, and
Yeah.
find love in everything, and even in the darkest moment. And one
Yeah.
story I share in my book. I mean, I'm always an open book, and so
Mm.
I always share one of the darkest moments in my time, where I felt like a failure, where I lost everything, almost. What I didn't lose was the loved ones. And that's when I truly realized, and in that moment, I thought to myself, you know what? At the end, I could live anywhere. I could live under the bridge. Of course, it's more metaphorical speaking. But as long as I have my loved ones, and I had my 2 dogs.
And they are healthy. If they're, as long as they are healthy.
Yes. So you can do anything. So that was a beautiful ending to say that find love in everything, and love is the core for everything that you do, and in people or in the professions or in the day-to-day activities. Stay in the moment and find the love.
And in the personal respect, you have to respect yourself, to respect other people.
Yes, respect yourself and love yourself. And that's a big one for many people too. So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom and being here and having this conversation, going down memory lane.
Yes, thank you.
And I can't wait to see you in October when I will be in Germany and bringing some of my books to Germany and do a book signing there in Hamburg and Berlin, and then we're going to write the next chapter, right?
Definitely, and I hope we can write a lot of chapters still.